Hello everybody, welcome back on our channel. My name is Giselle Ubidibiro Maïdou and I am the founder of Nyone Initiative. Raise your hand if you don't know the difference between a tantrum and a meltdown. I know the difference, I know the difference. No, I'm just joking. Well, I know how to differentiate a tantrum to a meltdown simply because in order to understand and to help my son, I had to read a lot of brochures and books about autism spectrum disorder, ASD. If you just joined our channel, our last video was on how to differentiate a tantrum to a meltdown. Victor, who is with us today, gave us actually some insightful information as an introduction to our subject. In my opinion, it's such an important and vast topic that we've decided to split it into 3 parts or maybe 4, we'll see. So Victor is going to remind us briefly what a tantrum and a meltdown is. And he's going to explain to us what is really happening in the brain of a person or a child with ASD when they're having a meltdown. Well, without further ado, Victor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Giselle, for this day again. I thank God for providing this opportunity that we are able again to share about this topic. And I'm sure this topic of tantrums and meltdowns, it's not only confusing to the parents, but even to the professionals and any other people who are working with the children. But I think at the end of this, we will have more light on the 3. Tantrum, we said, is a behavioral response. But this time, the response is not that the child is not in control. The child is in control and it is directed to something. The child wants his needs to be met. So tantrums are general to every child as they develop, you know. So we cannot say that autism can be the cause of tantrum. And they only depend on how you reward them. If you reward a tantrum, it will be used more. If you respond to it in a way that is not rewarding from the first time it happens, then there you correct it. But when it comes to a meltdown, we say this is still a response, but this response this time is not voluntary. The child has no control. The child is not intending to, but the child is just putting this one out as a result of trying to move away from something that is internally distressing to them. And we say this distress is either as a result of the senses, what they cannot tolerate, or because of the mental process, what is happening to them, as we will see in the, as we talk. So, for your information, all behaviors are a sign of communication. So remember, not all autistic children will experience meltdown. But those who do, also, the meltdown will not be as a result of the same triggers. We have different triggers. But what we are saying, the triggers follow a certain process in when it comes to meltdowns. So let's go deeper. Let's go deeper and find out what meltdowns really are and what happens when a meltdown is happening. All meltdowns have just 2 categories of triggers. And we have said it is either out of cognitive processing triggers or sensory-related triggers. So when you come to cognitive-related triggers, all of them, the child will show you. If you are very keen, you will just notice that there is something that is changing with my child. But for the meltdown, remember, it's a process. If it's cognitive, the child meets something that mentally it is causing distress. So from there, they start to try and correct the situation, but the situation keeps on overwhelming them. And because of that, the child starts developing anxiety, and now they start showing you more signs. If the one who flips hands, you realize they are flipping hands, or they are becoming very restless, or even some, they are breathing, you know. If there are some who hums, there are those who like humming. you realize their harming becomes more and more. So can we look at some of the cognitive causes? So there are many, but major one that we have discovered and is documented, and even grown autistic people are saying are the one that mostly cause meltdown. One is what we call going off the script. Going off the script means suddenly changing the plans. To just give an example, let's say you planned with your child that tomorrow morning we are going for swimming. So immediately you change the plan, all of a sudden they feel like I'm empty. All any other thing that they had put in mind from there, were dependent on this moment. So immediately you go opposite, outside the plan, then now they start mentally being distressed. You get? That is one of it. The second one has to do with unpredictability. Situations that, they don't have clear, guess. You not what is expected of you. You don't know what follows after this. And that's why we say, when you're in a classroom setup, like if you are a teacher and you're working with this child, the reason why they are going into meltdown more and more is that maybe the material you are presenting has no structure. The child don't know what is following next, or when am I expected to finish this task. You've just given task, they don't know starting here and when am I supposed to have finished. That's why we say most of the time use visual cues to show which activity is here, and from there which activity is following, and so on. Then you'll be able to prevent that. So apart from unpredictability, then there is another one. Having to make so many, to make a choice from so many options. And we can give an example. A parent who says, every time we walk into a toy store, they will always throw a very nasty meltdown. What is happening there is not that they don't like the store, but there is a problem in making choice out of so many options. Look at typically growing children. Take them into a store, into a toy store, and they want to pick everything. Yeah. So for this child, for them, they cannot pick everything. They have to make a choice. And now having to narrow their choice into a specific toy becomes a big mental distress. And from there now the body follows the same process. Anxiety level raises. It gets to a point where they can never take it anymore. The body goes into fight and flight mode, and before you realize, they completely lose it. Yeah. Another one has to do with breakdowns in communication. And you'll realize majority of us communicate with these children without patience. Yeah. You ask them, take your shoes. And before they just process that one, you are into fourth, fifth instruction. Yes. So from there they freeze, because they are trying to act on what you said, but more is coming in. Another one has to do with receiving ununderstandable answers. Like when you realize you are going somewhere and you're saying, oh, just hold on, we'll be there shortly. To them, being there shortly means nothing, because they are very concrete people. Yes. Being there shortly or using something that is abstract, they don't understand. So mentally, they start focusing on solving what exactly you have said. And the more they try to solve it, the more the anxiety level raises. And before you realize, the body is into panic mode, fight and flight response, and they lose it. But not every child will show you meltdown in the same way. There is those who undergo what we call complete shutdown response. And majority of non-verbal children may not show you a meltdown, but they will always be into a shutdown. Why shutdown? Because mentally, there's so many things that need to be processed within the environment. Very, very many unstructured things going on. So for them mentally to try and start solving whatever is happening every day, it's causing a lot of mental distress. So what they do, they retreat back to their own world. So they shut off any communication, they shut off any eye contact, they shut off any engagement, but they retreat to one thing, maybe with a toy and rocking. That's what they do. Why are they doing this one? To try and save themselves from the mental distress that is happening. But when it comes to sensory triggers to meltdowns, it's the same process. But this time we are saying the child gets exposed to a sensory stimulation that all of a sudden, their body cannot take it anymore. And I just want to give an example. I don't know how many of us have ever walked with a pebble in their shoe.
Yeah.
You get?
I think
Immediately you realize it's there, you move away. You remove it so that you can be comfortable. What if somebody told you to walk with it until you do a 1 kilometer distance? Children on the spectrum, at least more than 50% of them have 1 or 2 sensory processing issues. So it is us who are working with the children and the parents to start learning if your child has some sensory needs. And we say the solution to meltdowns is starting to analyze, is the child struggling with the sensory causes or cognitive causes. Now a tantrum is totally opposite of that, because one, it has nothing mental in it, it has nothing sensory in it, it just has a need in it. The child wants a phone and they realize this phone, I'm not getting it, so what do? Jump up, fall down, and because dad is here, daddy don't like me to do that, so they will give in. So in a tantrum, we are saying it is a directed action. The child has a control. He knows what he's doing. He can stop it or he can choose to go on. So with the tantrum, this is the only rule. Once it is a tantrum, deal with it consistently. If it is a no, it is a no. Whether in the store, whether in the bus station, whether in a bank, as long as you know it's a tantrum, they need something. Once you are firm and consistently you attend to it that way, it goes away and it will never come back. So for the management, we will cover it in the next one.
Thank you so much, Victor. That was so good. I've really learned something, and I hope you too did learn something today. Very useful information and so much needed. I just wanted to add that the best response to a crisis or a meltdown is always a peaceful and gentle attitude. The book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 1, teaches us that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. If you find this video useful, please like it and share it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't miss our next episode by hitting the notification bell. Until we meet for our next video, don't forget, when we touch heaven, our lives will surely change.